Take a walk in the deep end, talk like a V10, foot to the floor. When I take to the court, serve like I mean it. Top seeded, never conceded. Still crack up when their skills are egregious. That's outrageous, just tasteless. Take out the trash, plus call up the cleaners. Speeches leaving them speechless. Minister teaching seniors, keynote speakers taking notes for the season. Team leaders are sneaking a peek when I'm preaching. Not a deacon, I'm a mic man. I'm on the right track, so I don't need Jesus. That's just facetious performance peaking. I'll be alright, fam.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Fight Kingdom podcast. We have on today Colby, Thicknesse, the Golden Boy. Pleasure to have you on.
Thank you very much for having me on.
Yeah, we finally got it working. We had a little bit of technical difficulty at the start, but
just a few.
we got it figured out, man. It's good to finally talk to you. How are you going in these crazy Corona times?
I'm trying to stay as busy as possible, but I'm doing pretty well. I'm looking at it as a sort of break because I think, how many was it? In March 2019 to March 2020, I think I had about 6 or 7 fights. So I'm sort of letting the body recover and recuperate a bit. So it's nice.
It's a lot of fighters are taking this time to recuperate, rebuild, re-strategize. So yeah, you got to find the best in every situation. So it's good to hear you're doing that.
Yeah, exactly right. I'm just trying to sort of make the most of it, and then once everything goes back to normal, then I can sort of attack full steam ahead.
Yes, definitely. Now, looking at you, it's the first time we're talking sort of face to face. You're very unassuming, gentle looking, kind faced guy, but you're an absolute killer at the same time. It goes to show the old saying, "Don't judge a book by its cover."
Yeah.
And I just stopped watching one of your fights before we had a chat, and you definitely got some crazy skills.
Thank you.
Yeah, and definitely looking forward to hearing about how you actually built up that arsenal and how you got to where you are. So, first of all, you're fighting as an amateur at the moment, aren't you?
Yes, correct.
Okay, so do you want to explain a little bit what's the difference between AMI MMA and Pro MMA?
Yeah, so it depends where you fight at, because in New South Wales, you're not allowed to no elbows to the head, no knees to the head, and you're limited on a few submissions, and the rounds are shorter, so they're 3 minutes instead of 5. So once you go pro, it sort of opens a lot of sort of more opportunities to work with in attack and defense, which I'm keen for. But I had one fight in Queensland as an amateur. However, you're allowed to knee to the head up there. So there's a few different rule changes depending on the state.
Yeah, I was actually going to follow up with that question. It's I've seen amateur fights with larger gloves, small gloves, shin pads, no shin pads. Some you said you can strike to the head. Is it like a different class? Is there grades? Is there like level A, level B, or is it just state based?
I think it's in New South Wales is grade A and grade B, I think, or it's Queensland. It's like that as well. But I've done everything. I've fought with 7-ounce gloves and shin pads. I fought with just 7-ounce gloves. I fought with 4-ounce gloves with knees to the head. So I've sort of done as many different varieties of amateur MMA as you can.
Which one would you prefer?
Definitely 4 ounces with knees to the head.
Yeah,
definitely. Yeah,
I completely agree with that, because once you turn pro, all of a sudden knees come in, the shins, right. Bare shins hitting you to the head. You want that kind of exposure. Like you don't want to go from not being able to knee in their head or elbow to the face, and then all of a sudden there's guys throwing spinning shit at you.
Yeah, exactly right. It's a lot of things you're missing out on, I find, as an amateur, which I get is a lot safer that way. But it's also it's a bigger step up when you go to that professional league.
You're definitely right there. Now, your current record, 8-1, am I correct?
Yes, that's correct.
8-1. Now, where I first discovered you was we've got a couple of sponsored fighters here. We've got Troy Fumo and Corey Reeves. And I was watching them on the IMAFs.
Yeah.
And up pops Colby Thicknesse, smashing people, running through people. It was the Oceanas. I think you did 3 for 3, correct?
Yes, correct.
Yeah. Now I've had the boys here talk to me a little bit about that whole experience fighting back to back. It was did you fight 3 days back to back?
Yeah, I did the Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Yeah, no buys.
Nothing. I was unlucky. I had the fight on the Friday, and then my opponent actually got the Friday off. So my second fight was against a fresh guy, but still got the W.
It's I think sometimes it's a little bit unfair, so to say, because
Yeah.
the guy comes in fresh and you've just taken a beating the day before, the night before, and you've got to come in with half your body beat up and fight a freshie. So, how was the whole experience for you?
The experience overall as a whole was like just amazing. Just to go up there, and I always say like my biggest thing, my pet peeve with fighting is as soon as the fights are over, I have to train like another 8 to 10 weeks again just to get one. So it's great to sort of finish the fight, then know I've done all this hard work. I get to fight again tomorrow and tomorrow. So that was my favorite part about like physically you're not able to, but if I could fight in a cage every day, I would.
Yeah, it's kind of like a kumite.
Yeah.
You just I can't imagine how you guys did it. Do you know Joseph Luciano?
Yeah, yeah, I do.
Yeah, he was in the podcast before you. We had him in the
Yeah.
studio, and that was an absolutely wild one. I'm sure you know what Joey's
Yeah.
like.
Yeah.
So he was telling me, you haven't been to the Worlds yet, have you?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, he placed third in the Worlds twice,
Yeah, that's awesome.
and he was explaining to me how absolutely grueling it is. And I think his quote was, "The first day's hard, the second day's painful, and the third day is hell, and the fourth day makes you a man."
Yeah.
So hopefully we get to see you on that world stage as well.
Yeah, well, that was the goal actually. Was us? I didn't really know about this sort of IMAP settings, but then someone just told me about it. I'm like, oh, if I get 3 fights in 3 days, I'll give it a crack. And then I went well. Then a lot of people say, no, you should sort of go to the worlds. And I was like, sort of did a bit of research, and I was keen for it. But with all this coronavirus stuff, sort of threw a spanner in the works for everything.
Yeah, the coronavirus stuck a what do you call it? A stick in the spoke of everything. So
Exactly right.
we're kind of all fingers crossed, waiting till some sort of normality comes back into place. But when it does, hopefully we'll get to see you throw some more hands again. And I don't know what they're doing with the dates with the IMAFs, but I'm sure they'll announce something soon, and we'll look forward to seeing you smash some international opponents for Team Australia again.
Oh man, I can't wait to. I love just the feeling of representing a country and sort of just like I said, getting to fight people every day. It's just, I love it.
Yeah, it must be amazing representing Australia, like holding that flag after a victory or when you're getting a medal. Yeah, it's probably an incomparable feeling that not many of us will get to experience.
Yeah, it was awesome because I've always sort of had that dream as a kid to try and represent myself and my country at the sort of highest level of any sport I sort of put my eye to and I choose to try and succeed in. And it's just happened to be that MMA is sort of that sport. But as long as I get to represent myself well, my country well, and sort of do everybody proud, I'm more than happy to put in the work.
Well, you're doing really well so far, and we're enjoying that journey with you.
Legend.
Now, who came up with your nickname, the Golden Boy?
I think pretty sure it was my coach because I was always sort of that student at where I just sort of come in early and sort of thing. I'll help out with kids classes and that. So, and then I started getting a fair few gold medals and it just sort of stuck. And then I sort of tried to put my hair to go along with a nickname now. Might as well go into the persona.
Well, you might as well go balls deep with it if you're gonna stick.
Just commit to it, yeah.
Now, I actually listened to a couple of your other podcasts that you've done before, and I heard that you started off by wrestling.
Yes, correct.
You've got a twin.
Sure do.
I'm getting kind of a Gaethje feel here.
I didn't think of it like that, but yeah, that's pretty spot on actually.
Yeah, so you're our version of Gaethje. So
yeah,
hopefully you're going to follow in those footsteps, and we're going to see you with a UFC title in your hands as well.
exactly. Hopefully my fighting style doesn't sort of get too much. I can fight like how he fights now, I'll be happy. But sort of old
Yeah.
school Gaethje, we might sort of try and avoid that.
Yes. Well, if you fight like you fought against Ferguson, that's just the cream of the crop.
Oh, exactly right. What a performance.
That was incredible. As much as I hated seeing Tony like that,
Hmm.
that was an incredible performance. And
Oh, by far.
let's see what he's going to do against Khabib.
That's an interesting one.
It is. Let's see if he's going to be able to stuff his takedowns. That's what it's all going to come down to. Because
Oh, exactly right.
when it comes to the hands, Gaethje's got him.
Hmm.
Now, wrestling. Where did wrestling come from? Oh, hold on. You've double windowed us.
What does that mean?
You've popped up twice in my screen. Let me close that. Go away. It's almost like your twin came into the podcast.
Yeah, it's not a special effect. It's just the truth.
Wrestling. Australia's not a really wrestling dominant country. Like what? Who gave you the idea to start off as wrestling?
Yeah. So, like you said before, I have a twin. So, me and him used to always sort of fight and backyard wrestle at home, and we're doing football, just NRL twice a week. And then our dad's like, sort of instead of youth fighting at home on the trampoline, just took us down to the local police boots club or PCYC, and we just started wrestling there, sort of as we we're playing football, and it sort of translated really well into football because we're a lot more into that at that point. But then slowly but surely, the sort of interest for wrestling took over. Then I eventually stopped playing football, kept wrestling sort of 3-4 days a week, and then eventually I sort of fell out of wrestling and transitioned over to mixed martial arts.
And do you do freestyle and Greco or just freestyle?
I was just freestyle.
Just freestyle.
Yeah.
How about your brother? Still he fights or?
Like I tell everyone, he just sits at the pub and plays Fortnite. But now because of COVID, he just drinks at home and plays Fortnite.
Do you still beat the shit out of him or?
Nah, he knows his place. He doesn't try now.
That's good. A bit of sibling rivalry.
Yeah, exactly right. That's actually one of the things that we were super competitive from like 6 to like 14. So that's sort of what I find sort of helps with a lot of the work ethic I try to put in, because I'm being competitive with a twin from such a young age. I've always got that competitive nature in me now.
Yeah, well, I think having a brother, especially, instills that in you. It's I wasn't lucky enough to grow up with a brother. I had 2 sisters, and but I had cousins, and whenever we had the chance, we'd just lay into each other.
Oh,
and
exactly right. Yeah,
it's the best part of being a child.
it is. See who's toughest at what day it is.
Now, what drives you now? Now that you're into it, what's driving you to keep going, keep fighting?
I think it's a lot of sort of what would I say? Sort of just trying to be the best I can be. So I'm not sort of out here. I like to compare myself to other fighters in my division and that. But if I get so caught up in what they're doing and just trying to be better than them, but not be better than myself yesterday, I find that's what sort of.
We've lost you there for a second.
Hello?
Yep, gotcha.
Yep.
Gotcha back.
Whereabouts was it up to?
I don't know. I heard something about you said you got to do better than the day before.
Yeah. So I always look at trying to find them 1%ers, and like I'm always just trying to be better than that 1% than yesterday, and constantly try to improve and get better. Whereas I find some people focus too much on what everybody else is doing and not themselves. Whereas I focus a lot more of what I do and what I can control and what I can improve on. It's just seeing that constant development, the constant skills improvement, sort of giving out that effort to get better and sort of getting the feedback that you are getting better. It's just that constant sort of feedback loop that keeps me going.
Well, I just finished watching that Michael Jordan documentary, The Last Dance, and he's got that similar mindset to you. He's always competing against himself, super competitive, always looking for that little improvement. Doesn't really care about what the fuck anyone else is doing. And if you're not there to mean business, he doesn't want you around.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah,
I agree with that completely.
I think it's a trait that all very successful athletes have. Now, so you did your wrestling, and then I looked up a few videos. You've also got a bit of jits to you as well. So
Yeah,
there's some pan packs wins there. Tell me about how'd you go at the pan packs?
yeah, I went good. I used to be like just a straight sort of pajama grappler, so I used to love it. Playing, oh, good.
Good, we're good.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. So I used to do like all the sort of gi comps and that, because with a wrestling background, I went to the MMA gym and I sort of did a striking class. I didn't take to it too much, but then I did a jits class the next day and I just fell in love with it instantly. But then, so I did my first jiu-jitsu comp, I think 2 months after training. And then we drove like a 4 hour drive up to Newcastle from where we were. I think I was fifth or maybe 13, 14. End up picking the kid up with a double leg, slamming him. The ref runs in, stops it. The kid's crying. I put my hand up celebrating, like, yes, I just won like my first state title. I ended up getting disqualified. I was like, oh, that sucks. But then I sort of let the rule set a bit more. And then, yeah, I just sort of stuck to it. Then I think I was 16 when I went down to the Pan Packs, and that was as a blue belt, and I won my gi division, and I think I came third in no gi, and then I did the repeat when I was 17, so I got the gold in the gi, and I think I got second in no gi that year.
the pan packs are held in Melbourne, aren't they?
Yes, correct. Yeah.
Yeah, at MSAC.
Mhm.
Yeah, I've been down there once. A good friend of mine, he's done really well in the pan packs. Burak Salman. I'm not sure if
Yeah,
you heard of him.
yeah. I've heard of him. Yeah,
Yeah, he's a bit of a monster too.
yeah. I've seen.
Well, moving on from the jits,
Mhm.
so we've got wrestling in the bag, which is an absolute fundamental, I think, for any MMA fighter.
Yeah.
You've got some jits in the bag.
Mhm.
Now, when do you add in the striking?
So after I won my second Pan Pacs Golds, I was 17 at the time, and then I sort of wanted to transition more into the MMA. I was still doing the striking classes, but it was about 2 hours a week all up. And then I sort of flipped on the head. So I was doing jiu-jitsu and wrestling about 2 hours a week, and the rest of my training time was dedicated to striking and all the sort of wall work and that sort of aspect of the game. And then once I turned 18 and left school, I had my first fight just as I was leaving school. But as soon as I left, I started training sort of twice a day. And that's when I really started, at least one session a day is normally focused on my stand up.
Okay, so you do that at Freestyle Fighting Gym, correct?
Yeah, under Joe Lopez.
Yes. Now, that's a very famous gym at the moment.
Yes, it is.
It is because you train with the great
Yes,
Volkanovski.
Mr. Volko, yes.
So did you come up with him? Did you guys kind of?
Um, we actually were wrestling at the same time together at PCYC, but I was so little, so I didn't really remember it. But when I first started at freestyle when I was 12 or 13, I think he was on his second professional fight then, and I'm pretty sure that was back at middleweight then. It was pretty big back then. But then we sort of started training a lot more together when I was 17, 18, going towards my first MMA fight, and I sort of joined the MMA team in a sense. But since I've left school and so the past 2 years, I've been training full time, and then it's pretty much every morning it's just me, him, and Joe sort of doing our own sort of technique sort of thing. So I'm blessed in that aspect to get a one-on-one with not just Alex, but sort of the mastermind behind him with Joe. And then the evening classes is a few of our MMA guys, but we're all high level guys, so everybody I get to work with is really good.
Yeah, that's an amazing opportunity for you. Not a lot of guys get to say they can train with a world champ and a world class coach as well.
Yeah, exactly right.
There's a million gyms out there, believe me.
No,
I,
yeah.
I don't know how it is up where you guys are, but here there's gyms everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's very hard to find a high quality coach
Mm-hmm.
and some high quality partners to develop
Mm.
yourself with. So you're very fortunate in that aspect.
I am definitely, and it's always a good sort of. I use it a lot going into my fights. I sort of look and I just think in my head like, look who I get to train with, look at how much sort of experience and knowledge I can get. It gives me a really good confidence boost going into all of my fights.
Now, can you give me any secret guys? Have you ever tapped him?
Oh, I can't have to, not because when the gym goes back, if he sees this and I put out any of the secrets, I'll get bashed. So,
have you ever subbed him? Can you tell me that?
probably if you let me. I've gotten a few good takedowns though.
That's
good.
That,
in that, yeah.
mate. If I got a takedown on a UFC champ, that's it. I'd be unbearable. I'd be absolutely unbearable. So exactly whereabouts are you from?
So I'm from sort of Shell Harbour area, and I train at Wingdang. But most of it, so closest sort of known town is Wollongong, and that's about an hour and 10 minutes south of Sydney.
Okay, you had me completely lost until you said Wollongong.
Yeah. So I'm about 20 minutes south from Wollongong.
You fought on Wollongong Wars as well.
Yes, I made my debut on that show.
Okay, I think it was Sem. You fought Sem Kakembo.
Yeah, so I fought on one beforehand.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, so I made my debut when I was still in high school, or just fresh out of, because I was doing my HSC at the time, and that was and I had one.
So you fought during your HSC?
Oh, I waterloaded. My exam ended up being like my second last day of waterloading, so I legit had a 3-hour PDH exam, and I had a 5-liter bottle. I think I got like a liter left before I sort of started asking to go to the toilet. And I don't know, I forget what they called it. We'll just call it moderators or something. They kept thinking I was cheating. And it was like sort of my strategy to just keep going to the toilet. So I drank a bunch of water. And I was trying to explain, like, I've got to fight, but they didn't believe me. So I almost got kicked out of my exam for drinking too much water.
That's hilarious. So you fought your first show on
Wollongong Wars. Yeah.
What kind of scene is that? Like, is it mainly local fighters, or you get guys coming in from everywhere, or?
With that one, that was mainly locals. So how that one was locals, and I just had a local sort of headliner. But the ones previous was with Alex, who was normally the headliner because he had a big following at the time. But once he got signed to PXC and UFC, he wasn't able to do them. But the one I fought Sam on, that had like a lot of good guys. Had like Chris Van Dyke, John Buckey, Brad Riddell. There's a lot of international talent on that card.
Yeah, well, that was a pretty impressive win for you there. Was that a decision win? I can't completely recall.
Yeah, that was decision.
Yeah, Sem's a very talented fighter. I've watched him a few times. I watched him a few times live here. He fought on Path to Hex.
Yeah, okay, yep.
Yeah, so that's definitely a good win in the bag. Who else have I got you down here? I cannot pronounce this surname for the life of me. You probably know who I'm talking about right now. Chris.
Oh, mate. Good old Chris, yeah.
I cannot pronounce that. What is it?
Usti
Janowski.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not even going to try. So, big apologies to Chris, but
yeah.
I'll get it right one day. So that was on Super Fight?
Yeah, I fought him twice on Super Fight.
How'd you go on those fights?
Good. The first fight was actually my first fight against him was my third fight. But it's sort of a funny story how it came to be, because he came down to sparring because we do our sparrings on Saturdays, and he came down one Saturday wanting to spar, and I was out the night before till like 3-4 a.m. just drinking, doing the usual 18, 19-year-old stuff. I'm like, I'll rock up to sparring hungover, like if I get bashed, like who sort of cares? It's like one session sort of thing. And then he ended up coming down that session, and we only did the one round together. And like, I'll be honest, like he had it all over me. Like I could barely. I was almost running to the toilet to sort of spew between rounds. So it definitely wasn't my finest performance. But then afterwards, I was like, had a quick chat to him, spoke how we both sort of are in the same division and that, and like I thought it was like a real cool guy in that. And then about probably 5 or 6 months later, his coach and promoter messaged my coach saying, "Hey, do you want to get Colby and Chris to fight on my show?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure. Like I'm happy to fight anyone." So then I went onto my Instagram so I could shoot him a message, like, hey, cheers for sort of putting the fight offer out there and we can get to it. And then it turns out he blocked me, and I was like, oh, that's a bit weird. So I got my twins phone, I went, and I saw he started like talking shit on Instagram and that. And like every week would have a new post, like talking like, don't worry, it'll be over soon, calling me a bitch and shit like that. And
He
I'm
smack
not very,
talked you on Insta.
yeah, I know. Yeah, like who does that?
Oh wow.
Yeah, but I'm sort of super chilled. Like I don't care. Like we're gonna fight anyway. I don't care what your 1,000 followers has to think, sort of thing. So then we ended up going to Wayne's. He missed weight the first time by about 1.5 kilos, I think, and I had a terrible weight cut. So I was pretty moody at the point. And then he missed weight. He didn't even sort of try to make a rest. And I was like, oh fuck it, I get to fight him tomorrow. And at the face off, he tries to staunch me, like put it over me, sort of thing. And same thing, like I'm just happy I get to fight tomorrow, so I'm smiling. Then we end up going out, and I beat him in the first round by rear naked choke. And then I thought that was the end of it. I was like, oh, I beat him one round, sort of onto the next sort of thing. And then I think the next show he beat his opponent. He got a good armbar in that in about the first 30 seconds or something. He ends up pulling me out again, and I was like, oh, I don't care, I've already beat him. But then his same thing, coach promoter messaged my coach saying, hey, we'll do a rematch and we'll put a title on the line. So I was like, sweet. And he didn't say anything that time. So I was like, oh, I still go out, do my normal thing. There's just no shit talking involved. And he got a lot better. He went over to train at TriStar for most of his camp. But I was super confident in my ability and sort of how much my game has grew since our first fight together. And then I ended up getting the, what was it? It was rear naked choke in the third. So it was the same finish. And then just as a sort of little thing to make sure I won't get caught out again, I put a photo of me actually rear naked choked him. And I just captioned it deja vu and just sort of left it at that. And then hasn't been anything since. So I'm guessing it worked.
Well, you choked him out twice. I think he's got the picture now.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was thinking. I was like, surely, but you never know with some people.
Yeah, well, he knows now not to talk smack to the Thicknesse.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the fight I was watching most recent of yours is your loss.
Chris Vaughan, yep.
Yeah. What a cracker fight, though.
Yeah, that was a good fight. I really enjoyed that. It was probably one of my it was the best learning experience I've had by far.
That had a bit of everything.
Mm. Yeah. So how that sort of came to was after the first Chris fight. That was in I think September, and then I just couldn't find fights from there. Then we sort of went into Christmas, started New Year, and I wasn't getting any fights. So I got a bit heavy. So I think I was sitting around like 73, 74 kilos. Which
you got on the beers, didn't you?
Nah, I just got on the ice creams, eh? I was having like Ben and Jerry's like every 2 nights and shit, eh? I'm not much of a drinker. I just love my sweets and my chocolates. But yeah, and then I think it was on the Tuesday, and then I got like one Tuesday, like, hey, do you want to fight next Friday? And I was like, oh, I can't really make bantamweight. And Joe's like, oh, it's at featherweight if you want to take it. And I was like, sure. And I was no excuses or anything. I don't believe in who was a better man than I. But I was out of shape and that sort of thing. But I just wanted to fight.
I don't think there's any excuses needed to be made. It was a very entertaining fight, and it was neck and neck.
Yeah.
Like, at any point, it could have gone either way.
Yeah, definitely.
I think you took some hard leg shots in that.
My knee is still calcified from it, but outside of my left knee has been permanently calcified from that fight.
Yeah, but then you took him down. You almost had him. I think your arms gassed.
Oh man, that's actually I pride myself on always having really good cardio, because man, I remember after that first round, I was so tired. Everything was just for lactic build-up. I was like, oh god, I've got another sort of 6 minutes of this.
Would you look forward to avenging that loss?
I'd love to.
Yeah. What did you take away from that loss? Because everyone always talks about wins, and like when we get people on the podcast, it's about, oh, you won this fight and you did this and you did that. I also think, especially at the amateur stage where you're sharpening your tools, it's very important to find out what you took from the loss.
Yeah.
So,
So. Mhm.
yep. How did that affect you?
Yeah. It was like I always say. Like I'm happy. I'm not happy that I lost, but it was a much needed learning curve for me. So you can't look back. I'm happy it happened, sort of thing. Because there's just a lot of little things like just sort of not half-assing the training, but not as focused as you should be. You're not sort of. It taught me to sort of live like a fighter instead of sort of doing the 8 weeks hard, do
Mm.
whatever you want, and sort of get back on track for the 8 weeks what I was doing. Sort of taught me to dial in my nutrition, take everything serious, exposed a lot of sort of not weaknesses in my mind, but weaknesses in my mindset approaching fights. Because I was very sort of rigid. I was like, because I got the 3 finishes, 2 submissions, and 1 TKO. And the 2 finishes I got were the 2 submission wins, were both rear naked chokes, and they both came from a sort of clinch against the cage, just a trip or a throw, and a choke straight away. And when they got the call up, I was in my mind, I sort of had that situation playing out. I'm like, oh, I've got a bit of more weight, doesn't matter. I'll just grab him, take him down, choke him out, sort of thing. And then when the fight started, he defended really well, but I still
Yeah.
stuck to that same mindset. So I sort of just had game plan A in my head, and I didn't adjust. And then, yeah, so it's really eye opening in that aspect.
The commentator was saying differently. He's like, "Oh, the game plan's gone out the window." I'm like, "How would you know that? How do you know his game
Yeah.
plan, Jake Anderson? You don't know his game plan." No, but I think you did continue your game plan, and sometimes it just doesn't come through.
Yeah, it wasn't necessarily. Yeah, it was sticking to the game plan. If my game plan was just to take him down and get on top, I should have sort of added in some more trips, level changes, punched it and striked a bit more, and then shot instead of sort of just punching, striking, or strike
Mm.
it and shooting, sort of thing.
Yeah, set up the shot,
Yeah, exactly right.
but you're going to build that with time. That's the beauty of having an amateur career. You're going to get
Exactly
the
right.
experience. You're going to look back on this and think, all right, this is where I went wrong, and I'm going to go back to the drawing board, fix it all up,
Hmm.
and next time I'm going to smash you. It's that
Yeah,
simple.
exactly right. Yeah, and look how I've been on a 5 win streak since. So that's
Yeah.
it's changed a lot of aspects of my game, and sort of even sort of making fighting a more just a sort of hobby. It's more like a lifestyle for me now. So it's changed a lot of things, and it's definitely put me on a much more successful path.
Yeah. You mentioned you're living more like a fighter now.
Hmm.
So, what do you do about your diet?
I normally just at the moment it's nothing too crazy. I just know what my body needs, so I just eat correctly to sort of fuel myself for my training sessions. And I don't drink, smoke, or anything like that. So obvious ones that you can't do as a fighter. But then I don't let my weight balloon up. Every time I go to train, I make sure I'm feeling correctly, I'm recovering correctly, and just sort of trying to stay on top of all the sort of little micromanaging things, all the 1% that make for a difference when they're all added together.
Okay, so you don't have like a dietitian or a meal plan or anything like that as yet?
Now, I've done a lot of sort of research into nutrition, so eventually I will end up getting my own. But at the moment, like I sort of sit around right now, I'm probably around 70 kilos, and I fight at 61. So most of the time, I only drop around 4 max 5 kilos in the fight camp, and then the rest of the stuff's just water load. And I've never had to hit the sauna once. I've never missed weight or anything. So, and I always, as long as I can constantly feel good at training when I'm sort of dieting and losing all weight, I'm pretty happy with that.
You're doing the supplements and all that kind of stuff? Any sort
Um,
of just natural?
I've got a supplement sponsor, so shout out to Elite Subs. But I don't really sort of take any vitamins. I just use it for protein powder, and I just make like healthy desserts for like protein powder, Greek yogurt, and some berries and stuff like that. I'm not
On your
really into all the
on top of your Ben
supplements.
and Jerry's ice cream?
Nah, I have to replace it if I wanted to sort of. Ben and Jerry's is a rare occasion now.
Well, like you said, in the future, it will be a very handy tool to have a dietitian or a
Yeah, definitely.
nutritionist or someone doing your meal prep as you start moving more towards pro.
Yep.
It's a very essential aspect of the whole camp and the preparation. So, and you mentioned you don't do too much supplementation. I'm guessing you're an MMA fighter. You must have some CBD somewhere in your house.
If it was legal, I would, but we can't. I don't
It
think.
is. It is. You can get it everywhere. It's all over the shop.
What am I? I don't know. I thought it was illegal for some reason.
CBD oil.
Yeah, I thought only the states were allowed that.
I hope it's not because they're selling it absolutely everywhere.
Or maybe I've just been out of the loop for a while.
There's no THC in it. You don't get high. Just
Oh, okay. Yeah.
you get the benefits, but not
Yeah.
the other benefits.
No, I just stick to my water and caffeine and my black coffee for supplements.
That's good, man. What else? What I wanted to have a chat to you about. Is there any sort of glimmer of pro fighting in the future or near future, I should say?
Yeah, definitely near future at this point. It sort of depends when I think the Worlds or the next sort of big tournament lines up. But if I can't find any more sort of amateur fights locally and the IMAX are too far away, I'm pretty sure I will just start turning pro for it and chase after that pro career.
This is my personal humble opinion. We don't know each other. This is the first time we're chatting, but I think the Worlds will do you the cliche, a world of good. It
definitely would.
And I think it'll be good to get that under your belt because you can't go back to it.
That's what got me to do the actual Oceanic Championships, was purely because I was like, once I turned pro, I even just getting didn't matter so much about the sort of setting. It was more just about getting, when else can you have 3 fights in 3 days sort of thing. You can't as a professional. So I was like, how can I smash out as many fights as possible? So I think the Worlds, if you win the whole thing, it's like 5 in 5 days or something crazy. Like, man, how good would that be?
Well, the boys have been over there and they fought at the Oceanas.
Yep.
Apparently the Worlds is a whole different ball game.
Yeah, it would be for sure.
I would absolutely love to see you there. I'd stay up till 1 or 2 like I did for the boys and watch you fight some beast of a Dagestani motherfucker over there.
Yeah, man, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I think it'd definitely be good for you. Then get that AMI fight numbers up.
Yeah, exactly right. Because that's the biggest thing. Once you go pro, you can't go back.
You can't go back, and I think a lot of guys rush it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying specifically to you. You may be ready. Everyone's different.
Yeah.
But I've seen a few guys in the Victorian scene that have gone pro a little too quickly.
Too early, yeah.
Yeah. And they weren't even fighting at your level. And they decided to go pro. And then
it's crazy how some people jump straight into it. Yeah. That's the biggest thing for me is I'm still young. I'm only 20. Like, I'm 21 next month, so I've got time on my side. So I'm not in a massive rush.
Your early days, you got plenty of time. Now, you do you work full time or?
So before this happened, my schedule was sort of, I teach sort of 1 or 2 kids classes a day, sort of thing. And then I would sort of do 1 or 2 PTs in between my training or after my training. That was sort of Monday to Thursday, but then just at the gym. But then on the side, like Thursday, Friday, Saturday nights, I'm actually a security guard, so like a nightclub bouncer in Wollongong. So this scary face has to tell all the big guys that can't come in because they're too drunk.
You just double leg them and take them out the back.
Exactly, man. It was hard at the start. I started that when I actually started working in clubs when I was still in high school. So like I look like a baby now, but back then I looked like I was like 13 trying to tell these big guys they can't come in because they've had one too many skewies.
You don't judge a book by its cover. We're talking about this with Joey as well.
Yeah.
Like especially the jits guys these days, very unassuming, they look like nerds.
Computer programmers.
Yeah, and they'll choke you the fuck out. It's
legit.
I'm a lot older than you. I'm turning 37 this year.
Mm-hmm.
And back in my day, there wasn't those jiu-jitsu nerds around. There was the tough guys who fought, and there was the guys that kept to themselves. Now, these days, that guy that kept to himself and was quiet and played video games and Dungeons and Dragons, he could probably run an omoplata on you and you're finished.
lock you up in a heel hook or something in 10 seconds.
Yeah, which is good because you don't see the fights you used to on the streets.
No way.
Because people are they're more aware that people know.
Yeah, perfect word, awareness. Yeah.
Yeah, like I remember back in the day when I was young and hot blooded, I used to like, oh, I want to fight. That guy looked at me wrong, or he looked at his girl, or he did this, and then you'd want to fight.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's my maturity that's come in now, or the fact that I know that a lot more people can fight now. Whenever a
Yeah.
situation arises, I'm like, hey man, let's just walk away. You go that way, I go my way, and that's it.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing that a lot more often.
hmm Yeah.
You seeing that in the nightclub scene?
I it's weird because you still get the sort of one or two idiots who sort of after a few beers you're overtyped, they just get loud and obnoxious and that. But I say as a whole it has gotten better because I've only been in the sort of industry for about 2 years now. But even just me personally, at the start I was sort of eager, and if someone wanted to
Oh,
test me, I'd yeah.
your twin came up again. Hold on. Okay. He's gone.
Yeah, so if someone's like trying to test me or something just as a do, I'd always sort of bite back. But that's one good thing fighting has taught me is like most of the time now, if I'm working, if someone tries to start something, I've done like 2 or 3 sessions that day. I'm normally died in, so I'm tired. It's like 1 a.m. I just want to go to bed. I'm like, mate, honestly, I've got no interest. Like, if you're that angry, like, come to the gym on Saturdays. We have an open sparring, and we'll sort out then. Like, other than that, like, nothing's gonna happen here. I
Has
just want to
anyone
go to bed.
has anyone taken you up on that offer yet?
Nah, no way.
No, they
Oh man,
wouldn't.
I'd be so surprised if someone did.
So when you go pro, will you drop all that?
I've depends straight away. I probably won't because I don't mind it. Like especially now at the moment, like I never used to hate the job, but I was always like, oh, I gotta go to work. But it was always good to because with fighting, like I treat it as a lifestyle. So that sort of was my social sort of outing. Like I got to be out in town, sort of see other mates and just sort of chat to a few people and that sort of thing. It was good fun. But now, like since this virus has happened, I've got like sort of one shift a week, just like watching job sites. And that I'm like, man, I just sort of want to go out and be social. But once I do get to a certain level, I definitely sort of tone that down and just focus a lot more on sort of teaching and personal training aspect of fighting.
It's good. Now you mentioned earlier that you've got a sponsor.
Mm-hmm.
We talk a lot about this on our podcast, how important it is for sponsorship.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the guys, especially when they just turn pro, they got to leave their work. They got to full-time train. And this goes for the amateur guys too. People don't realize how much money goes into training, how much money goes into supplementation, into diet.
Yeah.
So obviously we've tried to be beating it into people's heads. You know, if you can help out, sponsor a fighter.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what kind of sponsors do you have at the moment, dude?
So I'm sponsored by my gym, Freestyle Fighter Gym, so I get free training there. And then I have a supplement sponsor, Elite Sup Harbour. And then I've got my boys at Eddie's Barbershop. They always look after me for free cuts and that sort of things. And I've had a few sort of local businesses donate when I did the I've done a GoFundMe for one Pan Packs and for the Oceanics to sort of help raise money. So there's a lot of sort of local businesses supporting me there. But so Eddie's Freestyle Fighting Gym and Elite Sup Harbour, they're the sort of 3 main sponsors that have been with me so far.
And every little bit helps, doesn't it?
Oh, exactly right.
Oh.
Every little bit goes a long way.
I'll have a chat to you off air about it as well. I'll discuss a few things you can do to help get sponsors and what kind of tactics work, what kind of approaches you need to take.
Yeah, awesome.
We've used them with a couple of boys beforehand and it's worked well. So
beautiful.
Hopefully I can, pass on some of that knowledge for you and you can use it down in the Wollongong area.
Yeah, legend.
And hopefully you get some more sponsors to help you on your journey because it is very, very important.
It is, definitely. It's a massive key part that a lot of people don't sort of think of.
No, they don't. And I try through my business, Fight Kingdom, to try and help out as many fighters as I can.
Yeah.
And, until we grow, my avenue of helping you guys out is having this podcast so you can voice yourself and
give us that platform.
Yeah, and get a bit of exposure, let people know who you are, what you're about, and let them see the side of you they won't see when you're in the cage.
Yeah, like I'm a pretty good example of it. It's a polar opposite shift. in the cage, I'm just sort of flick the switch on. I just want to just complete. Even at training, most of the time, it's sort of pretty focused and switched on. But as soon as I'm sort of out of the gym or out of the cage, just like a complete 180 shift sort of thing.
Yeah, well, most of the fighters I know are absolute nice guys outside.
Yeah.
It's because they got nothing to prove. There's no egos.
Exactly right. Yeah.
Now, as you can probably see, I've got a spare chair here. Hopefully, one day we can get you down to Melbourne.
Oh man, that'd be awesome.
Because this is the first time I've actually used Skype, so it's very different for
really?
me. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Usually I'll have someone sitting next to me, and we have a bit of a chat, a bit of a laugh,
Yeah.
and it's very different when you're staring at a screen.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know because I've never done an actual sort of in person. All mine have been sort of Skype and Zoom, so I'm sort of familiar with it now. We're opposite.
It's so much more fun when someone's in the studio.
Oh man, I could only imagine.
Well, hopefully you can maybe get a fight down here.
Man, yeah, that'd be awesome.
If you can get a fight down here, we can drop your name to a few people.
Yeah.
There's a few amateur shows. Well, they're going to bust up everywhere after this coronavirus disappears.
Oh, sad.
So, yeah, maybe we can get you down here, watch you fight, and then when you're all bruised up, we can get you in here and have a chat.
Let's hope I'm not too bruised up.
It's the best part of it. You love it.
I do when I go out. It works well. I'll say that much.
Well, look, it's been absolutely fantastic talking to you. I really do want to get you in here.
Yep.
One day, so we'll make that a bit of a goal.
Yeah, 100%.
Can't wait to see you fighting. Any last minute shout outs you want to do?
I just want to thank sort of just everybody who's sort of been supporting me and following me along the way. So my head coach, Joe Lopez, Alex Volkanovski, all my other training partners, freestyle family, even just like the mates and sort of people who will come up, sort of support you on your fights, share your stuff and that. Like, people don't realize, but all the little bits really do add up and they do help sort of me follow my passion and my dream of becoming a UFC champ.
Well, I personally believe that you can achieve that goal. I look forward to it. I look forward to watching you take each step on your journey. And hopefully one day we can sit down and talk to you when you got that belt wrapped around you.
Definitely. It'll be my pleasure.
All right, my brother. Thanks for coming on. Stick around. We'll have a chat after we stop recording.
Yeah, perfect. Legend. Thanks for having me on.
Take care.